The first building on the site that was documented was the post office built in 1875, which is said to have burned down in 1899. Records are spotty regarding the next building on this lot. However, it may have been what was known as the Wallace Building. Very ironic, considering what you're about to hear. In 1942, the Nettle family rented and subsequently purchased the building and opened Ralph's Cafe, which operated until 1955 when they sold the building to move south. After the Nettles sold the building, it spent some time as Mansfield Recreation and Domino Hall before becoming the Corner Pocket Pool Hall. The Corner Pocket had a regular named Frank McCaleb, who had lived his entire life in Mansfield. It's said that Frank was so fond of cigars that he was never without one in his mouth. As he spent so much time at the Corner Pocket, so did his cigars. When the building was torn down, the building that replaced it was said to have, on occasion, a smell of cigar smoke.
In December 1884, there was an unfortunate incident in the first post office built here in Mansfield. Well, it was apparently a dispute over cattle resulting in a murder. Dr. James Wallace had a long-standing argument with Mr. L.H. Stevens, and on a fateful day in December, Dr. Wallace confronted Mr. Stevens, accused him of cattle rustling, and shot him. Mr. Stevens' son, Dr. J.T. Stevens, came to his father's aid and shot Dr. Wallace in the back. Dr. Wallace died a week later on December 16, 1884, and was buried here in the Mansfield Cemetery. He was 40 years old. Descendants of Dr. Wallace said that his wife held a bitter feeling for the rest of her life, as she believed no charges had been made against Dr. Stevens in the murder of her husband.
Mrs. Wallace was mistaken about the charges, but likely justified in her bitterness. On January 13, 1885, Dr. J.T. Stevens was indeed charged and indicted for murder of Dr. Wallace. His trial commenced on June 25, 1885 in Fort Worth, where counsel for each side became hostile and started a courtroom brawl with one another. Judge Beckham, presiding over the case, tried to stop the fight and was injured. Sheriff Maddox finally separated the fighters, who were fined $50 each. After the ruckus and the completion of the trial, the records show that the jury took only 9 minutes to bring a verdict of not guilty, which was generally perceived as just. Dr. J.T. Stevens went on to become a vice president for the private bank of Mansfield in 1903.